Happy Gilmore 2 is now here. It is available on Netflix for you guys to go and watch. Let's talk about it. So, Happy Gilmore 2 is the sequel to one of the most classic comedies that I grew up watching, and I know many people did, of Happy Gilmore. A man who wants to be a hockey player turned professional golfer, goes on a chaotic run, and wins a gold jacket. Now, I love the first Happy Gilmore. I think it is just, it's one of those cult classic comedies that you just love to watch. So when I heard they were doing a sequel, I was skeptical, but also excited at the same time. And now that sequel is here. How do I feel about it? As someone who loves the first one, this is nowhere near as good as the first one. It's okay. It's okay. Like, we're not talking, this is not a Top Gun Maverick situation where you can argue the sequel is better than the original. You know, they've come back all these years. I don't think it's on that level. I think it is decent. Now, when doing this and coming back all these decades later to redo this one, to do a sequel to the original, is always going to be a tough task ahead of you. You know, you've got a mountain to climb. Now, in this movie, I think there's a few things that they went bold with that worked, some concepts that I liked, but then there's also some things in here where I felt they really missed the mark and underutilized certain particular characters throughout this whole entire movie. So, firstly, I will say the premise of having like this maxi golf, this innovative way to play golf, going up against the original golf game and having them compete, I think is a very, very interesting and cool concept that I do think that they nailed that concept, because we're always thinking about how can you evolve sports? How can you evolve the game and everything? You know, how can we get more viewers in? How can we make it more entertaining for people? And obviously in the Happy Gilmore world, you had Happy Gilmore, who was the entertainer within the golf space. Now you have the Maxi League, which is reinventing everything, hit longer, do this, shot clocks, all sorts of crazy stuff happening. So I really liked how they tied that in, and the actual competitiveness I thought was great. That I thought was fantastic. Now, another thing I liked is obviously having Happy back. And I do like the arc that Happy goes on. And they made some very bold choices that I was actually very shocked that they were going to go down that route. So there's an event that happens very early on in this movie that showcases you to where Happy is in his life and how he's dealing with certain things. I do think, though, they could have leaned into that a little bit more. I do feel like there's an aspect of this film regarding Happy and the event that happened that could have become a lot more emotional and really broke the character down even further to the point where we totally understand. Because when you watch the first Happy Gilmore, this event that happens in this one is something that's very prominent in the first movie. And I feel like we were all attached to that particular thing in the first one. I feel like you could have done it here and really played on that, but they didn't. But that's okay. That's just something that I think they could have done better. Shooter McGavin, I feel like is so underutilized in this movie. I really, really do. Shooter McGavin is one of the highlights of the original film. And in this movie, I don't know how I feel. I understand what they're trying to do with the character, and I get it because if it's the play on how it ended, how the first one ended. But I do feel like he's just really much underutilized to the point where I'm like, what was the point of even having Shooter in there? They have Shooter in there for one scene, it felt like. It felt like there was one scene that they needed Shooter for. I feel like that was a major, major missed opportunity. And because I love Shooter. I love Shooter. Like, just the dynamic of him and Happy. You know, there's this beautiful moment that they have. And then I was like, okay, here we go. We have the chance to do a Rocky Apollo storyline here. You have that chance to do that. You know, really play on that. Enemies becoming friends, becoming together to take down a common enemy. You had that opportunity to do it. They didn't go down that route, and I just felt like you could have taken Shooter out of this movie, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. He doesn't really have a significant role at all in this movie, apart from this one scene. And I was kind of like, that's a bit disappointing. So there is that. This does play on nostalgia a lot. There is a lot of things that are very similar to the first movie. A lot of flashback sequences to the first movie in here as well. You have a lot of kids from other characters from the original movie that you're like, oh, that's the kid of that one. That's the kid of that one. That's the kid here. That's that one. So it does play on the nostalgia side of things as well to try and keep you engaged with that. The storyline itself, I like where they went with the storyline. I like what they did with Happy and his family and how that all tied in. Even though the sons do kind of get annoying, I feel like that gimmick was played out so often. And it kind of... I feel like they could have done something different. I really do feel like they could have maybe done something different because they just have the sons as these dumb kids who just go around and want to fight, like stuff like that. Like they are, all the boys are basically Happy, just younger. And I was kind of like, couldn't you just have one of them be at least smart or something different? But it's like this running theme and this joke that did get tired after a while. Now there are some comedy elements in here, some comedy jokes that do land, some that don't land. So there's that. I thought the cinematography was great. It felt like Happy Gilmore, felt like I was watching it. But I do feel like there was a missed opportunity here because I like the film. I think there's a lot of things going for it. But I also feel like they played a little bit too much nostalgia here. Too much of characters of like, oh, you remember this character? Well, this is the son of this character, rather than actually having a narrative purpose to it. Where I'm kind of like, did we really need that? Do we? So you have that. The villain of this film, Shooter's a better villain. Let's be real. Shooter's a better villain in the first one. This guy, I get what they're trying to do with him and that, and how they're trying to use him as like this, almost like this younger kid coming in trying to change the gentleman's game into something that it shouldn't be. So I like that aspect as well. The use of the real golfers I thought were fine. Obviously they're not actors, so you got to take that into account. Some stuff in here you're like, oh yeah, he's not an actor. I get that. So that was fine, but that they were as good as they can be for, obviously being golfers and not actors. So that was great. The caddy was great. I love the caddy. I thought he was hilarious in this film. I think I'm glad they didn't tie that caddy into the other caddy that we see that Happy has. Even though, I think that was really, really good because you could have easily just gone, oh yeah, this caddy is the son of this caddy. And I'm glad they didn't make that. It's like a whole new person that has no ties into anyone else. And I like that aspect about it. And I thought he was great as well. And his dynamic with Happy, there's one moment with another caddy that happens as well that I loved. But overall, Happy Gilmore 2, to me, is just a decent film. It's okay. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, this is the greatest thing. I'm not going to say this is, like, the Top Gun Maverick of Happy Gilmore movies, because it's not, to me. I feel like, is the world better that it has it? Sure, it is. Is it a bit of a letdown? I would say it's a bit of a letdown for me, but I want to hear what you guys think. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was. Let me know in the comment section below. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe, and peace out.